Welcome back to the On the Ball podcast, another episode of the greatest potty going round. And we have something different for you today. Barring one Olympics episode, it's pretty much been an endless convoy of NRL and AFL episodes just being thrown at you. And we are bringing back, it's almost NFL season, almost that time of the year, and we will be doing our NFL predictions / preview. As I'm sure you can tell by the title of the video, probably why you've clicked on it, so you probably don't even know what AFL or NRL is if you are listening. But I'm joined by my fellow NFL expert that we'll call ourselves, Christian Pilcher. How are you, mate?
Thanks for that title, mate. And I'm very well, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm actually pumped. We talked about this on the weekend, and I've sort of been frothing ever since we had our NFL fantasy draft last night. This won't be a fantasy episode, but there might be a mention here or there as we do. We are fantasy nutheads, and that has got me right back into the season, just scrolling through hundreds of players' names. It's got me toey. So what we're going to be doing here today, I think we did this last year. We might have split it up and we might have had other guests, but it's just you and me here today, and we're probably going to do it all in one. Might be a long episode, so you might be watching chopped up versions and stuff like that. But so we're going to go division by division. Say our order 1 to 4. Might say a record as well, but we sort of just guessing that we haven't gone through game by game and seen who's won. And then we've got a plethora of individual awards. We've got the MVP, the Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, a few others that we're gonna have a stab at and see who we think is going to get the chocolates. Will be a fun episode, really, just to ease ourselves back into the season by having a little look at which teams have strengthened, which teams have got worse, who's made coaching changes, stuff like that, and what their outlook's looking like for the 2021 NFL season. So, Pilch, I reckon we get into it, mate. I reckon we start with the NFC North. And, I don't want to say you're beloved because you do have a lot of teams you like, and I don't want to make you sound like a bit of a weirdo going for 4 teams, but you do fancy a couple of teams in the NFC North. You do like it. One of the more interesting divisions, I'd have to say, year on year. But how do you see this division playing out this year?
I see the NFC North playing out quite standardly this year. For me, it was quite an easy one to predict. So I've gone Packers taking out the division title with a 12-5 record, followed by the Vikings at second with a 9-8 record, followed by the Bears 6-11, and then Lions 4-13, which is quite generous of me to give them 4 wins. I think they might deserve negative wins this season, but we will see how it goes.
Yeah, I've got the exact same order as you. Why do you reckon Vikings will leapfrog the Bears from last year?
From all reports, the Vikings D is looking quite good this off-season, so I think they'll put on some good shows, and they're always like kind of up there. I've got them at 9-8, so nothing like huge. I've actually got them missing the playoffs, but I just think they'll be fairly consistent. And then I'm not a fan of the Bears. New QB, poor offense, and
Yeah, I reckon last year was definitely an off year for the Vikings. I think that squad to get 7 wins, I think, doesn't really match up in my head. So, yeah, I've boosted them up against the Bears. However, I don't think they'll get too many more wins. Obviously, we're going to factor in the extra game this year, which I had forgotten about until about 10 minutes ago. But they're playing the NFC West as their NFC matchup, and they're playing the AFC North. So they've probably got the hardest schedule you can get. I think that's the best AFC and NFC division, respectively. I think we'd all agree on that. So definitely not an easy one. Last year, they didn't have the easiest fixtures anyway, but it's definitely going to be harder. So, yeah, I've got the same order as you. I've got Green Bay dropping down to 12 wins, but I think they'll win it comfortably. I just don't see nothing really changing there. I know Rodgers was at his best last year, but I can't see why he won't be again. And Matt LaFleur is only going to get better as a coach as he gets more years under the belt. I've got the Vikings at 8 wins, Chicago at 6 wins. Probably a bit stiff to drop them 2 wins, but I just think I know their offense was absolutely garbage last year, so it probably can't get much worse. But yeah, I don't know. There's something weird going on with Chicago. I know their defense is still pretty elite, but yeah, I can't get behind it too much. And then I've got Detroit 2 wins. I've got 3 teams who are significantly worse than the rest of the competition this year, and sadly, Detroit are one of those. And that impossible schedule mixed with a pretty decent division themselves, I think it's going to be tough going and hard to find wins for Detroit and their new coach. So yeah, it's going to be tough for Jared Goff, I predict. Hopefully he goes well because he's had a pretty treacherous time in his career so far. I know he's had some success at the Rams, but being in such a big market in LA, he was sort of under so much scrutiny all the time. So hopefully, away from the lights a little bit in Detroit, he can put on a show. Do you think Jared Goff will have an all right year?
No.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know who he's thrown to be honest. Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones have left, so
shocking situation for the great man. Kind of feel bad for him, but
yeah, definitely a tough spot, and I do not envy him. Not that I really envy any quarterbacks. A bit of a tough gig for everyone involved. The NFC East next, mate. How do you see? Well, last year, what was historically one of the worst divisions of all time, sort of came home with a wet sail, though. I must say there are a couple of teams that had an all right last season. How do you think things will go this year?
Yeah, look, I envision for this to be the worst division in football once again. I think it'll be really close though, so it'll provide some entertainment toward the end of the season. I think all the teams will be within a couple or a few wins of each other, but I'm going to have to put the Cowboys winning the division. I just think with that offense, arguably a top 3 offense in the entire comp. I don't care how bad their defense is, it'll win them games. So I've got them top with 9 wins, 8 losses, followed by the football team, who are kind of the complete opposite. Elite defense, shocking offense. Although Fitzpatrick,
I think that's a bit harsh. Shocking
might be harsh, but we'll see. We'll see what Fitzy brings to the table. Got them at 8 and 9, followed by my truly beloved Giants at 6 and 11, and then the Eagles 5 and 12.
Yeah, interesting. Pretty pessimistic view on the Giants. Random question. I just thought of this. Do you reckon Fitzy will play the whole year?
Yeah, barring injury.
Yeah, that's true. I would love to see it because I don't know what's going on with Fitzy at the moment, but his last 3 seasons where he's been going well, they just I know last year was extenuating circumstances with a top 6 pick in tour, but I think it happened at Tampa the year before. Oh, that might have been the inverse actually. I think Jameis might have got dropped for him, and then he came in and tore it up. But there was only a month left of the season. Could be getting confused, but
who are we dealing with? Taylor Heineke.
Yeah, he's the backup on the depth chart, but we obviously saw last year he was decent in his limited appearances, but yeah, obviously a big step from being good as a QB3 to being a week in, week out starter. I've got the exact same order as you actually. I promise that we have not collaborated before this, but I've got Dallas winning the division with 11 wins. Then I've got Washington with 9. The Giants, I've got 8 wins. I think they will improve this year. And last year, the NFC East played the NFC West and the AFC North. So they actually had the schedule that the NFC North has this year. They had that last year. So that gets a lot easier this year. And I think all their wins will improve because of that. So I've got Giants 8 wins and then Philly on 6 wins. But yeah, I think Washington could be a bit of a surprise package. I've only got them on 9 wins, but I could easily see them come out, win 5 games, could easily see them come out and win 11 games. So I think Washington's going to be a real a volatile number this year and one to watch, I'd have to say. I actually don't think I've got them as the worst division this year. I think I might have the AFC South down there, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. All right, next up, mate, NFC South. the NFC South featuring the Super Bowl reigning champs, I guess you would say. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers obviously got the Saints as well. I'll lead us off on this one. Last year, the Saints actually won the division ahead of the Bucks, despite what happened in the playoffs. This year, I've got Tampa actually improving, which is probably what most people will have. I think most people are predicting them to win more than 11 matches. Obviously, they started pretty slow last year. They also are playing the NFC East this year, which I think is 4 dubs for Tampa in no uncertain terms. And I think they've got Dallas first week, maybe, which will be the first of their 4. And I've got the Bucks winning 14 games. I've got the Sainers winning 1 less, actually. Obviously, the loss of Drew Brees. They've also lost a few other pieces like Trey Hendrickson, who I believe went to Cincinnati. He was an underrated pass rusher for them. Sack monster. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. Hopefully, Jameis tears shit up. Obviously, he's had his eye surgery and all that stuff, and we haven't really seen much of him. Don't have the highest hopes, but would be cool to see him just cut loose. And I've got Kamara in fantasy, so hopefully he has the best season of his career. I've got the Panthers at 8 wins. I've got them improving 3 wins. I think they've bettered their team even more. They've brought in AJ Boye, Hassan Reddick as well, so they've improved the defensive side of the ball. Sam Darnold versus Teddy Bridgewater, sort of an interesting debate there. I'm not sure if it's that much of an upgrade, if an upgrade at all, but some people think it is a pretty big one. But more importantly, I believe last year was their coach's first year as an NFL coach, and I think he'll be better for the long run. So that's why I've given them 3 extra wins. And I've got Atlanta getting the same number, 4 wins. Look, Atlanta just seems like a bit of a shit show right now. They've still got Matty Ice, so they've still got some skill and reputation there, but they've had a changing of coach. They've brought in Arthur Smith, who's highly touted, but never had a coaching gig. So we'll see how he goes coming over from the Tennessee offensive coordinator slot. So, yeah, what do you think of the NFC South, mate?
Not a bad division, mate. But once again, I've actually got the exact same order as you.
Oh.
But I've got this division performing as a whole worse than last year. So obviously Bucks first. I'll say 13 and 4 for them. And then the Saints, I think they'll drop off a few wins. I've got them second, but I reckon like 9 and 8. Just no Drew Brees, no Michael Thomas, and a couple others that you mentioned as well. I just can't see them being that elite force that they've been for a long time. And then Panthers, followed by the Falcons. I think they'll both be pretty average. I'll say 6 and 5 wins respectively for them. Not convinced about Sam Darnold, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Panthers are another one like Washington. I have no idea how they're going to go, to be honest. That was a tough one to predict. The Saints I had similar to you. I had them at like 9 wins, and then I just thought that was a disrespect to Sean Payton. So, I chucked them at 11, but I can understand the thinking behind that. How do you reckon Jameis will go? And also, what do you think about Darnold versus Bridgewater? Is that an upgrade or a downgrade?
Hard to say on Darnold, Bridgewater, but I'll probably say downgrade just because Darnold has far from lit the world on fire. And as for Winston, I don't think he'll ball. I think he's an erratic quarterback and he's got no weapons apart from Kamara this year. At Tampa, he had Godwin and Evans. So I think he'll struggle. And I wouldn't be surprised if Taysom Hill takes his spot at some point, to be honest.
Yeah, interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how much they use him because they were like using him when Drew Brees was there. So I wonder if they're going to go like 80, 20% snap. But I don't know. I don't think that's really the right place. Surely you just got to back in Jameis early on and give him some confidence. But yeah, that's going to be one to watch for sure. I'm very surprised that they didn't bring in any like wide receivers of note or anything. Because their stocks right now are looking pretty cooked. But yeah, Jared Cook also left, but that was not intended. I don't know why I feel weird. I know Brady's the GOAT, but I do feel weird picking a team with a quarterback who's like 43 or however old he is to win 14 games, but their defense is so good. I think it's hard to tip against them. Then finally on the NFC side of things, the NFC West, they had the dream fixture last year of playing the NFC East. So I haven't ended up decreasing their W's. I've increased, if anything. So I've just introduced that for no reason at all. Oh, it's because they're playing the AFC South this year, who I think are pretty average. This is a really tough one to predict this year. What do you think? I'm interested. I reckon we've got to have a different order here.
Yeah, this is by far the hardest one. I've got them all within 3 wins, but I think the Rams will actually get back to their best. Obviously, McVay, elite coach, and I'm a huge Stafford believer, so I think they'll be elite. But I don't think they'll have a high win total just because they have to play each other and they have a harder fixture than last year, as you've alluded to. So I'll say 11-6. And then I've got the Niners second, Seahawks third. Honestly, cannot split them, but
we've gone the same.
Okay, I've actually given them the I'll give them the same wins, but I'll go 49ers second on divisional matchups, followed by Seahawks, followed by the Cardinals. But I think the Cardinals are good as well. So I've got them at 9-8, and the Niners and Seahawks 10-7.
You got a feel for the Cardinals, don't you? Like, honestly, I reckon if they're in any other division, maybe bar the AFC North, I think they make playoffs this year. But they just can't rack up enough wins in that division, and I don't know if it's even possible to make the playoffs coming fourth in your division. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be tough for them to leap. But I've got them adding 1 win to their total. They've added a few good pieces, but they're sort of risks like AJ Green and JJ Watt. They've lost some quality players, Patrick Peterson, Hassan Reddick, but I think that all sort of balances out in the wash. And then you've obviously got the natural progression of Kyler and Hopkins, a second year in the system. He should improve. And also Cliff Kingsbury, he should improve. There were at times last year where he was sort of caught lacking as a play caller, but elsewhere in the NFC West, I've got the Rams winning it. I've got them tied with the 49ers actually on 12 wins, but I've got the Rams getting the nod, and then I've got the Seahawks dropping back to third. I don't know. I feel like the Seahawks and Green Bay sort of get disrespected every year, and I think people sort of tip their decline and they never decline. So I feel like a bit of a fool expecting them to be worse this year, but I just think the Rams. Russell. Yeah, exactly. But I think the Rams and Niners are a better team. So that's why I've got them dropping. Still got them winning 10 games. Still think they'll be a very good offense. But it'll be interesting to see how their defense goes because they haven't really added too much to fix it. And it was not good at all last year. Actually, it was all right in the second half of the season, but lost them some crucial games. But yeah, NFC Wild Cards, while we're on the NFC topic, we may as well address it, mate. Based on your picks, who are your Wild Cards? And maybe just give us a bit of a preview of your playoff picture, if you can. I know it's sort of fast thinking, but I'm interested to hear what you've got the playoffs looking like from your predictions.
All right, so I had the Cowboys, Packers, Rams, Bucks winning the divisions, and then I've got Niners and Seahawks both getting in from the NFC West. And then I've actually marked down the football team, even though I put them as a worse record, which is awkward. But I actually believe it will be Washington.
Ahead of the Saints?
Yep.
Spicy. That is spicy. So you've tipped the Saints to miss. I think looking at their roster, it's definitely fair enough. It's just crazy to think the Saints will miss out after like the dynasty that they've had, but their key man is gone, so it wouldn't be shocking, I would say. I wonder what their overs and unders are on the betting markets, because maybe I'm just overhyping them, but for me at the moment, my number 1 seed will be Tampa. That'll be, and then my number 2 seed, I'll probably have the Rams ahead of the Packers, even though same win total. Number 4, Dallas. And then my wild cards, number 5, the Niners, number 6, the Saints, and number 7, the Seahawks. Just missing out, I've got the football team and the Cardinals on one win less than the Seahawks. So, yeah, I think the battle for the wild cards is going to be pretty interesting. I don't know if they have, like, outside of Tampa, I'm not sure if their top line teams are as good as they have been in previous seasons. But it's, I guess we're tipping the Rams to get back to their best. I think the 49ers are another one who they're going to be really interesting to watch. They could just easily return back to 2019 form and we could watch them win 14 games, or they could sort of struggle. I know last year they had probably more injuries than you could ever get in a season of football, but they'll definitely be one that's interesting to note. All right, onto the AFC side of things. I'm impressed how fast we're going through this. I was scared this was going to take like 2 hours, but we've done well. We've done well. All right, mate. Let's start with the good stuff before we get into the bad stuff. The AFC North, pretty spicy division, one of the best last year. People predicting this to have a bit of a shake-up this year. Do you agree with those pundits?
A little bit, but I think it'll be pretty much the same as you'll see in my rankings.
Who have you got?
I have got the Ravens winning the division with 12-5. I'm actually a low-key Ravens fan because I love Lamar Jackson, but I think they've got a really good system that a lot of teams struggle to work out. Yep. So they're going to win a lot of games. Browns second on 11-6, and then a big drop off to the other two. I think the Steelers will come off a long way. I don't think Roethlisberger. I think he's hanging on by a thread, and their defense is going to get a lot worse, and their offensive line has gotten a lot worse as well. So I've got them 7-10, and then Bengals 6-11, bit of improvement. Burrow second year, and actually a lot of offensive weapons. Question is just their O-line, but I think they'll definitely improve.
Yeah, and they've added some defensive pieces this year. Trey Hendrickson, Mike Hilton as well, cornerback from the Steelers, who is highly rated. So if they can become a bit of a defensive powerhouse and let Burrow just get more of the footy in less pressure situations, they could be a spicy team. I reckon the Bengals are a dangerous matchup. This division has the AFC West and the NFC North. And I reckon there's a lot of teams that will stumble against the Bengals, like the likes of the Vikings, the Bears, the Chargers, the Raiders. I think the Bengals can beat all those sort of sides. I've got them on 6 wins. I didn't want to go too hectic because they are still in a very hard division. I've got the Steelers on 9 wins in at third. I can't lie. Before I sort of started thinking about my predictions, I was confused why everyone was getting around this call that they're going to miss playoffs and come third. But when I've looked at the ins and outs, thought about it, I've sort of gone with the majority, unfortunately, as I do like the Steelers. But I've got them in third. I've got the Ravens in at second on 11 wins, and I've got the Browns just pipping them on 12 wins. Just what the Browns already were last year, and then they've gone and added a few good defensive pieces like Jadeveon Clowney and stuff. I think they're a pretty scary opposition. I don't think there's a string to their bow that they don't have, if you get what I mean. They've got everything in the duffel bag that you could possibly want as a football side, and they are freaking frightening to come up against.
Except Baker.
Yeah, Baker's the only thing that could hold them back, but we saw last year they got 11 wins with Barker G Mayfield, so should be G. But yeah, I don't think there's any really questions. Do you think Lamar, well, you've got him in your fantasy team, so I feel like this is a bit of a biased question, but do you think it'll be 2019 Lamar or 2020 Lamar?
Somewhere in between.
Yeah. I tend to agree.
That's my blunt answer.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I think the 2019 thing, a big part of it was like the element of surprise, sort of. Like, I don't think many teams had seen anything like that, where now we've got a lot of running quarterbacks and everyone's had time to prepare. So, yeah, I'm with you there.
The fact they've brought in a couple of receivers will definitely help Lamar a lot, because teams will now, they won't necessarily know that he's just going to run this year. They'll have to prepare for both which will help him.
Yeah, I think Sammy Watkins is a really interesting addition. There are a couple of games where it was pretty bad for the Chiefs, but then there were some games where he was really, really good. But he's someone who he has the ability to like be a really, really important piece for them and be their main receiver, but he could also be a flop. So I think if he turns out to be a good signing, I think he could help elevate that game because, yeah, as you mentioned in the past, they haven't really had much receiving talent. And surely Hollywood Brown maybe doesn't take the leap that everyone's expecting, but surely he starts to progress because last year was pretty underwhelming from him, you'd have to say.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got the AFC East, another division who I think is going to be on the rise this year. I think they've got three really, really good teams. I'll go with my predictions. They're up against the AFC South, who I've said are pretty average, and the Nfc South, who are just an average division. So I've got them winning a lot of games this division. I've got the Bills in at the number 1 seed. I've got them with 15 wins, not the number 1 seed for the conference, for the division, I mean. Then I've got the Dolphins in at number 2. I've got them on 12 wins. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they go. Will Fuller could be a pretty spicy addition to an already threatening offense on paper. It's just a matter of whether they can put that danger that they have in their lineup onto the park, really. New England, got them on 11 wins. Probably one of the, as I keep mentioning, but probably one of the harder teams to predict. Their defenses, it's not a new look defense, but they've got a lot of new pieces. They've brought Kyle Van Noy back from Miami after a 1-year hiatus. They've also got Donta Hightower back from COVID-19 sit-out fame, which is huge for them. He was pretty frightening in the linebacker position in 2019. They've also added Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, Nelson Aguilar. So they've given Mack Jones some throwing targets, which Cam Newton didn't really have. So you'd have to say pretty stiff on Cam Newton. But anyways, so I've got them winning 11 games. Also, they've got Bill Belichick, which can't be forgotten. And then I've got the Jets winning 5 games. Didn't know how to predict them. They only won 2 games last year, which sort of shocked me. Obviously, a new quarterback this year. They're getting CJ Mosley back from COVID-19, opting out, I guess is what you'd say. He was the second team All Pro for 4 years straight before 2019. Third game of the season, out for the year, and then sat out COVID. So we haven't seen him for a while, but he is definitely a player of the caliber that they need to improve. And also, Corey Davis could be a pretty handy addition for Zach Wilson. He was pretty good for Tennessee, and they were not really possessing much in the wide receiver barracks, were they, mate? They were relying a lot on bloody Jamison Crowder and shit, so not much going there. They've also added Tevin Coleman. Don't know if that should have been mentioned, but I mentioned it, so what are you going to do about it? But what are your predictions for the AFC East, mate?
Saucy, mate. I've actually gone fairly against consensus for
Spicy.
this division. I've got them performing worse than a lot of people think. Obviously, the Bills first. I think they will go a long way this season. Josh Allen's clearly a god. I just cannot see them getting any worse. And they almost made the Super Bowl. So I've got them 12-5. Got the Patriots second. As you mentioned, a lot of players back, especially on the defensive side. Mack Jones clearly good. Clearly better than Cam Newton was. And they've given him a couple of receivers, as you said, Nelson Aguilar and a couple of tight ends. And obviously Belichick. So I've got them 9-8. Little improvement on last year. And then the Dolphins 8-9. Everyone thinks they're going to be beasts, but I just don't like Tua. Don't think he's from what I saw last season, I wasn't backing him at all. Hopefully he proves me wrong because I like their team, but that's my saucy call for the podcast. Dolphins 8-9, and then Jets 5-12, same as you.
Yeah, look, I love Tua, so I'm probably not going to agree with you, but I do see the thinking. He's definitely a boom or bust player this year. It could be the 30th best quarterback, could be the 12th best. We have no idea what we're going to get, but come
I
on,
hope he breaks
mate.
out.
They had 10 wins last year and they played the NFC West. Come on. Give him something now. But you are right. He does hold a lot of their potential in his hands, I guess. But yeah, that's going to be an interesting division. Obviously, we have very differing opinions on how it's going to go. Well, how the division as a whole is going to go, not necessarily the breakdown of it. The AFC South, this is, in my opinion, a division that's sort of taken a hit this year. They weren't great last year, to be fair. They had two good teams, two shite teams, and I've sort of got the similar thing going this year, but they have to play the NFC West, which is pretty stiff. And I've got them playing the AFC East as well, which I think's good. You don't think's good, but anyway. Winning it, I've actually got Indianapolis, not Indiana. The Colts winning it this time round. The Titans just pipped them last year, but I reckon the Colts will just pip them this year. I've got them winning the same amount of games. Harder draw this year, but I think Wentz is a little bit of a maybe a little bit of an upgrade on Rivers, and they had a few injuries last year and extra game as well. So that's sort of how I've deciphered them winning the same amount of games. Not sure if it's fair, logic or not. Then I've got the Titans dropping to 10 games. Harder fixture. They've lost their offensive coordinator and they've lost Johnny Smith, Corey Davis. Clowney didn't do much for them and Desmond King as well, but they're all like pretty big names there that they've lost. They've added Bud Dupree, but they have paid him about 20 mil a year to get him there. And they've also added Julio Jones, who we're not really sure if he's going to be like a top 10 receiver, a top 50 receiver. We have no idea what we'll get, but he is a legend of the game. So I've got them on 10 wins. They're a tough one to predict, I reckon. Jags on 3 wins. I had them on 2 wins, and I had the Texans on 2 wins. But then I thought, I won't disrespect the Jags like that. I gave them 3 wins, and I dropped one off Texans. So I gave Texans 1 win as well, because I don't think anyone will be offended by that. It's going to be interesting to see how Urban Meyer transitions to NFL footy along with Trevor Lawrence. But yeah, those two teams, don't think it's going to be good years for them, to be honest. And yeah, it could get messy in a couple of games here or there. Hopefully, they're going to be on every Thursday night footy game, aren't they, mate? That's just the way the schedule works. But how do you see this division playing out?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Titans, and I think they will pip the Colts again. I think Julio and Bud Dupree are great additions. So I've got them 11-6. Colts just behind them at 10-7. Still, I'm not convinced about Wentz, but we'll see how that goes. Jaguars, I don't know. I just think they'll improve quite a bit with Trevor Lawrence. I'm probably overrating him, but I think they'll have a similar year to the Bengals, who I gave 6-11. So I've also given the Jags 6-11, which would definitely be over their betting line. And then Texans, I want to give them 0, but I'll give them 1. Like surely it's not going to be 0.
Nah, I don't reckon 0 is that feasible. I reckon they win 1 game. Jags get jumping all the way to 6. That's pretty big, mate. They're on 1 win last year. Trevor's that good, you reckon? 5 wins.
Yep, they've improved their offense heaps. Brought in Marvin Jones as well.
Interesting. Well, we'll have to see how that one plays out. Yeah, hopefully he has quite a few primetime games that we can watch, but I don't know if he will because it is the Jaguars. But yeah, we might have to just cop the Thursday night games that they get. But yeah, that's an interesting one. We had sort of different opinions there. I heard something on a podcast today about the Colts. I didn't really understand what they were talking about, but maybe they've got a large proportion of unvaccinated players or something, but they were saying there's some issue with the Colts to do with COVID. I'm not sure what it is, but they were saying they're going to struggle because of that, but I didn't really get what their point was, to be honest. But final division, mate, before we get into the individual stuff, the AFC West. I don't like this division, just in general. I don't know why. I just don't like the vibes it gives me. Like I'm wearing a Colorado shirt, but the vibes that the Broncos and Raiders gives me just a bit weird. and Chargers also as well. But obviously, the Chiefs, one of the Super Bowl favorites, if not the Super Bowl favorite this year. This division plays the AFC North, so that's a pretty tough one. Going to be exciting to see Kansas go up against those three teams, and then the NFC East, which Kansas will probably win all of those, but for the other teams, that'll be interesting. I've got Kansas winning 15 games. I reckon they'll be. I don't know. I just don't back teams winning 16 or 17 games. I think every team drops a couple here or there. Don't know what your opinion on that one is. And then I've got the Chargers in at second. Similar to last year, I found the positioning of this division really tough. I just don't see much between the Raiders and Chargers. Raiders have added quite a few big names. Yannick Ngakoue, Solomon Thomas, former, I think, top 10 pick maybe from the 49ers. John Brown as well from Buffalo Bill fame. They've lost a couple of O-line pieces and Nelson Aguilar, which is really not that big of a loss. But the only thing that scares me from the Raiders is just, I know Derek Carr, he's a good enough quarterback, but he never really sets the world on fire, and he's always, a couple bad games away from being benched, and that sort of QB uncertainty I don't like. So that's why I've put the Chargers ahead of them. The Chargers with a new coach this year, so that might take a little bit of getting used to, but I reckon the Chargers' defense might return to its glory days this year. They've brought in the Rams' defensive coordinator, which is pretty interesting. They were really good in defense like 2019. Not as good last year, but they've let Melvin Ingram go, even though he was pretty bad last year. And I don't know. I just love Justin Herbert, to be honest. Don't know about you, but reckon they win 10 games. Reckon the Raiders win 9 games. And then I've got the Broncos improving 2 games from 5 to 7 wins. I don't see a huge leap for them. They've added some people, but I don't think it really improves their team that much. But I think their defense will maybe be a little bit better this year. What do you reckon about the AFC West, mate?
Yeah, so I thought this was a saucy call, but you've said the exact same. So I've got Chiefs first, clearly. Haven't given any team above 13 wins. I've got them 13-4. Someone will, either them or the Bucks will get 15 or whatever. But I've also got the Chargers second on 10 wins. I think their offense is going to be elite this season. Herbert's second year, Keenan Allen, Eckler, just elite weapons all round. And as you said, hopefully if their defense can kind of just improve a bit, pull through, then I think they'll do very well. And for a long time as well with Herbert under center. Third, I've got the Broncos. I think they're going to be quite similar to Washington, just beast defense, shocking offense. Don't think Locke or Bridgewater are that good. Decent weapons, but I've got them 7-10. And then the Raiders, the big fallers for me on 6-11. Just as you kind of alluded to, boring team. Derek Carr, average, loves his 5-yard passes to Darren Waller, and not the best defense either. So they can come in last.
Yeah, I don't know. The Raiders are just a weird team. I find them hard to predict because I swear they just always get the same amount of wins, but
yeah, they actually do tend to churn a few.
Yeah, I don't think they're good, but they just get wins. They accumulate. But yeah, I rate that we're on the Chargers. Also, we didn't mention that Anthony Lynn, one of the all-time worst coaches ever. Man was disgraceful. But anyways, felt bad for the great man. Felt bad for the great man. But let's be real. Let's not sugarcoat it. Going to be interesting to see what happens in their tight end department. Obviously, Hunter Henry has been moved on to the Pats. They've brought in Jared Cook, but he is 34. But 2 years ago, he had 900 receiving yards. So he's obviously not that far from being a really good player again. But they've also got a young guy, I think Donald Parham or something. But tight ends, they had 3 or 4 tight ends going at the end of last year. They were just every touchdown they scored, it would just be to a random tight end. So it's going to be interesting to see how Jared Cook's production goes off the back of Herbert. But yeah, Herbert's going to be interesting. Can he keep up the levels that he was achieving, which was incredible last year in his rookie year? I think he does, but it will be an incredible side if he does. But yeah, my playoff pitch, I'll let you work out yours while I'll say mine. I've got the number one seed. I've got a tie, but I'll go Kansas just because I think their division's worse. Got Kansas number one, Buffalo number two, the Browns number three, and the Colts number four. And then that means my wild cards. I've got the Dolphins in at number five, Baltimore in at number six, the Patriots in at number seven, and that means I've actually got the Titans missing playoffs, which I think is a pretty bold call. But
Saucy.
yeah, they would be my number eight, just missing out. So yeah, that would be a shame. But anyway, stiff Titans. Also got the Steelers missing out, which would be pretty shattering for them. I think it's probably going to be Big Ben's last year, so that will be pretty sad. And what's likely going to be their last crack at another Super Bowl with this combo of Mike Tomlin and Ben Roethlisberger. But anyways, I don't think I have anyone else that close. So I have the Chargers and Raiders that close, but I don't think they're really in the wild card combo for me. What's your playoff picture looking like, mate?
Likewise, Chiefs first with 13 wins. Bills and Ravens, I got the same wins, but I'll go Bills second, Ravens third, and then Titans winners of the AFC South, fourth seed. Fifth seed, I have the Browns on 11 wins, followed by the Colts sixth, and then Chargers seventh. So
Ooh,
Dolphins
Chargers.
and Pats missing out for me.
Chargers, I don't think that's outrageous from you, but the Chargers making that spicy in Staley's first year as coach, that would be huge. But that would be exciting. I reckon if they make the playoffs, they're going to just be putting 40 on blokes. So yeah, hopefully they do because they're a very exciting team. Just wondering, who are your bottom four teams overall?
Texans,
Yep. So they're getting the number one slot.
followed by the Lions,
Yeah.
followed by the Jets and Falcons.
Oh, yeah. I've got Texans, Lions, Jags, Falcons, Jets.
Actually, I'm sub out Falcons, put in Philly.
Oh, yeah. I changed Philly's win total at the very end. I had them like 4 or 5, and then when I was adding wins in for the extra game, I chucked them an extra 2. I don't know. They're a weird
extra 2.
They're a weird team to predict, because they're like their division's not scary, but they were shite last year.
I reckon they suck.
Yeah, they're we were talking about it last time on their draft. Their offensive weapons are pretty rank. But I don't know. Jalen Reagor could break out. Devonta Smith, whatever his name is, could be a beast. Goddard and Ertz could return to peak form. And it could be a different story. I think their defense has improved, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be very, very wrong about that. All right, player awards time, mate. Let's get into this thing. Let's go with the big dog first. The MVP of the league, obviously Rodgers is the defending champ. Are you going vanilla, plain, boring, P. Mahomes the third?
No, I'm going a bit of lemon lime sorbet, actually, mate, with Josh Allen of the Bills. I think
I like it.
Maintains his level from last year, if not better. They get a lot of wins, and I think he pips Mahomes for the MVP.
Yeah, well, last year Rodgers was the quarterback of the tied second best team, and in my predictions I've got Buffalo coming tied first, so completely makes sense. Yeah, I just went the logic of the best team's quarterback. I think Kansas will be the best team this year, the number one seed in the whole comp. So I've given it to Patrick Mahomes. I know it's boring, but I don't know. It's weird to think that he's only won one. And he seems to be like the goat of the sport. Well, I know he's not, but you know what I mean. Like he seems to have won a lot more than that. But I reckon they'll give him one this year. Offensive player of the year, pretty much just the best wide receiver or running back of the year. Who are you going with here?
Yeah, McCaffrey. I think if he doesn't get injured, he's just going to have that much volume at the Panthers. They're just going to be sticking it down his throat. So wouldn't be surprised if he goes for the double 1K again and brings it home.
Do you reckon they don't care that the Panthers are shit, or?
Actually,
stats will be
that's a good question.
the stats might be too good to ignore. To be fair,
He won it 2 years ago, right? Even though they weren't great.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
Yeah, I think his stats will be too good now. And
Yeah, fair enough. His production could be cooked. I've gone the opposite. I've gone similar logic to my QB thing. Kansas, don't see Kelsey or Hill winning it. So next best thing, the Bills. I see Stephon Diggs getting the dub. John Brown goes away. I know there's always the argument that when a wide receiver leaves, it means your bloke's going to get more attention, but I think Diggs was getting a lot of attention last year and he was absolutely sick. Their running game's not going to be great, so they're going to be passing a lot still. As you said, Josh Allen's sick, and Diggs is his main man. I loved Stephon Diggs. I reckon he's so good.
Yeah, same.
As I'm sure everyone does, but he's a freaking wep. Defensive player of the year. I'll be honest, we sort of just pulled names out of a hat here. I've just gone this bloke because he's sort of been in the mix for like 3 years and he hasn't got it yet. It's Myles Garrett. I think the addition of Clowney could take some attention away from him, and that will be a dangerous thing for offensive lines to do. But yeah, he's due. Surely Aaron Donald can't go again. Like, he just can't. Come on. And their offense will be better this year, so I reckon their defense might be on the field less, which is a rogue point from me. But yeah, I don't know. Myles Garrett, he's due. Surely. Come on. Who are you going with?
Yeah, I've gone Myles Garrett just because he's a beast.
Yeah, like there's not much more to it, really. He's an absolute tank. And he punches on with Mason Rudolph, which we love. Well, he doesn't punch on, he hits with helmets because he's a cook.
Coward.
Yeah, coward. Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Coward.
I don't know. I was looking at this one. Everyone's just goes straight to a quarterback. And I think that's a fair assumption, but I think it's done too quickly. But do you think it goes to a quarterback this year again?
I have given it to a quarterback, yeah. But it was between this man and a running back.
And who have you given it to, Chief?
I've given it to Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Given I've given the Jaguars 6 and 11, that implies that he's had a great year. I think he'll at least be as good as what Burrow was last year, which is easily good enough to take this award out. So,
well, I think Justin Herbert won it last year.
He did, but
they had 7 wins, so 6 will be enough.
Yeah.
Whereas the Bengals had 4, and well, Herbert was better than Burrow anyways, wasn't he? I haven't gone Lawrence because, unlike you, I haven't got the Jags winning that many games. I've got them winning 3, and for me, that's not enough. So I've looked elsewhere, and that was tough to do because there's not much else. I'm not giving it to a wide receiver because A, I have no idea who they are, and B, it's a wide receiver. For me, the pick of the bunch out of the quarterbacks is Mack Jones, just because I think he's in the best situation. I've tipped them to make the playoffs. I think a rookie QB getting his team to the playoffs, pretty elite. I'm sure it's going to be their defense that will get them there, but I think that could be looked upon pretty kindly. But my smoky, I'm going to lock in Mack Jones, but my smoky is Najee Harris from Pittsburgh. I just think with Big Ben's body breaking down, I think they're going to run a lot more this year. Connor was dog shit last year, and their O-line's completely changed. So it's an absolute... he could be shit. He could tear shit up, but I think he's going to get that much volume. And if they're a team that's in and around the playoffs and he's like half the reason why he's there on the offensive side of things, I could see him picking it up, which I think would be a pretty big shock. I think he's like 8th in the favourites. Yeah, I just reckon if they get to the point where Big Ben's not playing great, their defense plays well, they could get in front and then just run the house down with the great man. And for that reason, I'll be trading Kamara to Najee Harris tonight. But nah, just kidding. Yeah, I don't know. I just was feeling a road call there. Thoughts on it, mate? Thoughts?
Yeah, well, as I said, it was between Lawrence and a running back, and that running back was Najee Harris.
Oh.
For the exact reasons you just stated, mate. Big Ben's cholesterol pretty much getting the better of him these days. And, yeah.
I don't know. I'm scared of their O-line, though. That's the only thing.
Yeah, apparently it's dog shit. So
like, it's full changed. Like, their starting 5's gone, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, look, that's a worry,
But they've brought people
300
in.
carries.
They've brought people in. So
They've
actually,
brought people in.
they haven't. They haven't. They might have drafted people in, but they haven't brought them in for free agency. Their only people they've brought in is Melvin Ingram and Joe Schobert.
Yeah, well, from all reports, their O-line is going to be bottom 5.
Yeah, well, I was looking at some offensive power rankings, and they had them at like 22nd. So
The line or the offense?
the whole team, like the whole offense. Sorry.
Oh, the whole offense.
Yeah, which to be fair, Big Ben's not great, but I'm pretty sure in the article they said they have the best wide receiver core in the comp, so they're obviously not backing in the O line. If they're down at 22nd, so what do you think about that wide receiver core?
It's outrageous.
No, I think they meant from like a depth point of view. Like, to be fair, Chase Claypool's the third wideout. Like, that's pretty decent.
It's decent, but like, come on.
But yeah, if you like give each of them a score out of 10 and add them up, it's not number one.
It's still lower than
close.
It's still lower than Adams.
Yeah, exactly. So, and like, yeah, Arizona's is better. Yeah, Tennessee's is better. I don't know. Strange call, but anyways. All right, and then we're going to do the passing, rushing, and receiving yards leaders. Passing yards, I'm going Justin Herbert. I know I've got MVP as Patrick Mahomes, but just thought it'd be boring to pick him, so going with Herbert. They don't like Eckler runs, but he's more a pass catching back, and I think that bodes very well for the H-Bird. They're going to be a good team, but I don't think they're going to be ahead in like all their games, and I don't think they're going to be ahead by a lot where they just give the ball to Eckler and he just runs the clock down. So I think they're going to be throwing. I think they're going to be throwing a lot. I think their defense is decent, so he's going to have a lot of time out there. And yeah, I've given it to Herbert, the gunslinger. I think he was second or third last year on average per game, so he's got some catching up to do, but why not? Who are you going with here?
Yeah, I think there'll be quite a few boys up there, given today's league is very much passing orientated. But it's hard to go past Dak Prescott.
That's
woeful.
That's so true.
Woeful defense. And the Cowboys have a fast-paced offense. They throw the ball a shitload. And I'm pretty sure he was on track for 6K yards when he got injured last year. So I'll be giving it to Dak Prescott.
They're going to be in a shit ton of shootouts, aren't they?
Yeah, they're going to be sick to watch for fantasy reasons.
Yeah, that's it. They play the NFC South, so they play like the Falcons and the Panthers. Like they're going to be like they're going to put up 60 against both of them.
Mate, you need to trade for a piece of that offense, mate. Get a piece. Just get a piece.
What? Oh yeah, I'll bring in Blake Dalton Schultz.
Bring in Kieran Pollard.
Blake Jarwin. Kieran Pollard, I like it. And they play the AFC West, which is like the Chargers, Raiders, and Broncos. So if you think they're not putting 50 on those, stiff on the Broncos.
Stiff on the Broncos. Chargers, Cowboys could be like 64-58.
Yeah, mate. Panthers, Cowboys. That's game of the season, I reckon. Like, I reckon that's 60-30.
I'm so keen for that game.
There's not going to be a single run take. Actually, no, you've got McCaffrey. I won't talk to you like that. Rushing,
he doesn't need a run, mate.
Yeah, that's very true. Rushing yards leader. Do you think Derrick Henry continues his dominance?
Yeah, look. I think he'll definitely win it. He just gets 600 carries at five apiece. So he'll be racking up another 2,000 plus. But as a smoky,
surely there's only two blokes you can go with.
Cook. Dalvin Cook. If he stays fit.
Yeah, I've gone Dalvin Cook. If you look at average per game last year, Henry's like 30 ahead of third. So I don't even think anyone else is in the convo personally.
Nick Chubb could be.
Yeah, but I just think Hunt takes too much out of him personally.
Yeah, he won't. There's no way he can beat Henry.
But they're on a better team, Chubb, so he probably might get more action. So, but yeah, I don't know. I like Dalvin Cook. I don't know, just why not? There's a new offensive coordinator in town, Tennessee. Who knows? He might hate running. Probably doesn't, because why would they hire him? But yeah, just felt like going someone new. Surely Henry can't keep it up for too many more years, so I've gone early. Gone for the early bird gets the worm tactic, and I've gone the Dalvinator because I love the jam. Actually, I don't know if I do.
You hate him.
Receiving yards leader. Who have you got?
I've got your man here, mate, Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, I've got him as well. Let's go.
Reasoning, just the targets, the volume, the elite offense, elite quarterback. Yeah.
Do you know who won this award last year? Devontae.
Devontae didn't win it.
Who did?
I think Diggs or Hill.
Or
even Travis.
I reckon Hopkins is an interesting candidate for this one.
Keenan Allen too, actually.
Yeah, true.
I reckon there's a few.
He loves a 6-yarder.
Yeah, he does. He loves a 2-yarder.
Oh, no, there's 2 of them, though. I was going to say the Rams boys could be Smokies this year with Staffordshire.
Also, the DK Metcalf and Jefferson. Actually, did Jefferson win?
Nah,
he actually.
But early on, he didn't do much.
He clocked 1,400.
Month. Yeah,
I think Diggs. I'm pretty sure Diggs won.
Pretty sure it was Diggs. So we're not even being heroes for that.
Yeah.
I thought it was a heroic move.
I'm looking it up.
But yeah, my Smoky then would be Hopkins. I just think second year in the offense. They've added AJ Green. Might take a few if he's fit. He might take away some defensive focus, and Hopkins could tear shit up. And also, they've got rid of Drake, so hopefully they put the running game in the back pocket because it's disgraceful, and they should just throw or let Kyler run. No one else can run. Actually, stiff on Chase Edmonds. He's not a bad little running back. And they've also brought in James Conner, but does he deserve a snap?
Does he deserve a mention?
Don't know. Thoughts on Houston's running back call, mate? Phil Lindsay being their RB3.
Quite weird.
I don't get the tactic.
I don't know how they're going to go about that.
Maybe they're just going to have Tyrod and all 3 of them on the field, and they're just going to be like, oh, who's going to run? And they're just not going to complete a single pass the whole game, and they're just going to share the runs around. I reckon it's a Smoky.
I've got the top 4.
Hit. Wait, should I guess, or should you hit?
If you want.
All right, we'll go. Well, I'll back you in. I'll say Diggs first.
Diggs was first by quite some way.
And then
next 3 were close.
Jefferson second.
He was 4th.
And then Hopkins was in there.
3rd.
Devontae.
No. Devontae missed a game, I believe. So on average, he was 2nd, but...
Oh, DK.
No.
Lockett?
No.
Wait, who am I missing? AJ Brown missed a couple games, so it can't be him.
Yeah, it wasn't him.
Tampa? Nah, I don't think they were healthy the whole year either. Who was it?
It was not a wide receiver. Travis, 2nd.
Oh, that's disgusting.
He clocked 1,400.
That's sick.
It's actually outrageous.
That's honestly sick.
That's outrageous.
That's unreal. All right.
It's outrageous.
Anything else you want to say before we end the episode, mate?
Go Giants, go Lions, go Jaguars.
What? What? Are they in your top 3 now?
No.
Bro, I'm that toy for the season. I need to have a look at the fixture for this week. Oh, we should have done a round 1 preview. Anyways.
I only know
2 of
the fixtures, 3 of the fixtures.
I know Tampa is playing Dallas.
Yeah, that's the Thursday night.
And Baltimore plays Las Vegas, I think, because I've seen some people predicting a Raiders upset.
Not copying that.
Yeah, I don't know the rest of the... Chicago Rams. That's going to be 10-6.
Panthers, Jets.
Jokes. Why am I saying the Rams suck? They're good. Panthers, Jets.
Giants, Broncos, 12-9 to...
Please tell me Panthers, Jets is at 3 a.m.
Yeah, it is. So, yeah, score prediction for Giants, Broncos, please, mate. First ever dual single-figure scoreline.
I can't lie. The venue actually is going to have a large weighting on my.
It's in New York.
Okay, so I'm going to go Denver. Denver have some injuries. No, New York have some injuries though, don't they? Or no? Is Sterling Shepard playing and stuff?
I think so.
And Saquonji, he's playing.
Well, Saquonji and Golladay are both questionable, so
We'll say they play. I'll go Giants, get the dub 21-14. No, 13. They'll miss an extra point. Brandon Wait, you know what I'm pumped for? I know this is an absolute dribble from who's listening. I'm pumped for the kicking and punting rotation. I love the first month of just seeing who's rocked up to a new club. Because I was just going to say Brandon McManus, but he legit might not be there. So we'll suss that out. But yeah, probably should end this because this is getting a bit weird. Because we are just legit talking Boris now. But let me know your thoughts on our predictions here. If you've got through this whole thing, you're an absolute hero. Let us know what you thought of our calls. Bum us if they were shite. Get around us if they were good. Let us know yours because that's what I'm interested in. Shout out to the potty for getting to 50 subscribers. Yeah, the boys. But yeah, we'll have to chat off air if we're going to do a weekly NFL episode this year like we did last. Because there's some big decisions to be made about that. But yeah, really excited for the season. Good luck to your Giants and your fantasy team.
Thanks, mate. Good luck to your fantasy team.
Thanks, brother. The Milkman. Anyways, tuning out here from On the Ball HQ. Go Giants.
Oh, yeah! What about that one? Unbelievable. Balotelli, Aguero! Crowd cheers. Here's Siddle.